Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Duran. Our recent readings on the Jamestown colony drew my interest, especially the part about the Roanoke colony or the Lost Colony. Roanoke colony is often referred to as a lost colony because a colonist disappeared, never to be heard from or seen again. The expedition reached Roanoke Island on July 4th, 1584. In 1585, some of the expedition members returned to England for supplies. When the supplies were extremely late, the colonists on Roanoke took an offer from Sir Francis Drake to return them to England. After they left, the relief supplies arrived to an empty fort. Again, some men were left behind in Roanoke Island. Colonists continued to experience hardship, and eventually the island was deserted. But the fate of the last group of colonists is unknown. Some important figures to know that were part of the Roanoke colony were Sir Walter Riley, living from 1552 to 1618. He was an English adventurer, writer, and nobleman. And after growing close to Elizabeth I during his time in the army, Raleigh was knighted in 1585 and was given rights to explore and conquer the Americas. During Elizabeth's reign, Raleigh organized 3 major expeditions to America, including the Roanoke settlement. In 1587, Raleigh explored North America from North Carolina to present-day Florida, naming the region Virginia in honor of Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen. In 1587, Raleigh sent an ill-fated second expedition of colonists to Roanoke. In 1588, he took part in the victory over the Spanish Armada. Raleigh lost Queen Elizabeth's favor by his marriage to one of her maids of honor and was sent to the Tower of London, a prison, in 1592. Raleigh was released in 1616 to search for gold in South America. He invaded and pillaged Spanish territory at the time when James I, the new monarch, was seeking peace with Spain. He was forced to return to England. Raleigh was arrested and beheaded on October 29, 1618. Another important figure that I found was Simon Fernandez. He was a 16th century Portuguese-born navigator who piloted the 1585 and 1587 English expeditions to found colonies on Roanoke Island, part of modern-day North Carolina. He served Sir Walter Raleigh. In 1587, Fernandez plotted an expedition, a group of colonists led by Governor John White, which sailed for Virginia. This time, White and his fellow settlers, including women and children, with a view to establishing a permanent colony in Virginia. White and Fernandez evidently disliked one another, and White's journal reveals his arguments with his pilot, accusing the Portuguese of many outrages. In 1587, the settlers' chosen destination was not Roanoke, but the Chesapeake Bay. But on reaching Roanoke in late July and allowing the colonists to disembark, Fernandez refused to let white men reboard the ship, only to leave them on the island. And faced with what amounted to a mutiny by his navigator, Fernandez's motive for landing the colonists in the wrong spot was not clear. If Governor White's belief Fernandez's actions appear to have contributed to the poor outcomes of the settlement, his motives for doing so still remain unclear. The first group sent to establish a colony arrived at Roanoke Island in 1585, led by Sir Richard Grenville, almost a year after the initial expedition arrived in Roanoke to find a place to settle a colony. This expedition left 107 settlers on Roanoke Island to establish a colony, while Grenville returned to England for more supplies. When the supplies did not return as planned on schedule, the colonists left with Sir Francis Drake, an English explorer who offered to return them to England. Grenville got back on Roanoke Island to find it was abandoned. Again, Grenville left some men on the island and returned to England. In 1587, another attempt was made to start a colony on Roanoke Island with 115 colonists led by John White. Upon arrival, all they found left of Grenville's men was a human skeleton. After struggling to build a settlement and fighting with local natives, John White returned to England for more supplies. White had a difficult time returning to Roanoke. The Spanish were fighting the English and no ships could be spared. It took 3 years for him to finally reach the island. When John White arrived in Roanoke Island in 1590, the buildings had been dismantled and there was no sign of the colonist. The word Croatoan had been carved into a post and the letter CRO, or Crow, had been carved into a tree. leading John White to assume that they had moved to Croatoan Island. With a storm approaching, he was forced to return to England and did not go to the Croatoan settlement and never knew what happened to his colonists. Some important information that I wanted to know was, since we learned in Jamestown, the colonists who had come to the Jamestown colony were not very well prepared to settle, to farm, to build buildings. They were poorly prepared to handle what a new world would need. And I tried to find information on the Lost Colony of Roanoke, but there was really no information that kind of told you about the colonists, at least none that I found so far. It did mention that most of the colony were men, and then there was a few women and children. But as far as comparing it to, did the Roanoke Island colonists receive the same fate as not being prepared to settle down with no real skilled labor other than maybe noblemen that were there to settle the colony? So was it parallel to the Jamestown colony? There was not a whole lot of information that could have told me that. So there are some prevailing theories as to what happened to the people of Roanoke. The first five are plausible, and then the last two are a little less plausible, and the last one even less. But one of the first popular theories is that the people of Roanoke simply left the settlement. They left Roanoke Island and settling in the Chesapeake Bay where they originally had intended to land, and that they built rafts or boats of some sort using materials from whatever materials they had there. There's evidence in that the ruler of the natives did indeed admit to killing the colonists. They said that they had been in their land, the Chesapeake Bay area, and were then annihilated to prevent more English settlers from stealing their land. The second theory is that the whole population of Roanoke Island was killed by disease. Some historians say this is improbable, but the disease can take an island out. The third theory is the village was destroyed by a severe storm, such as a hurricane. A hurricane could have washed away the colonists and destroyed the houses. Hurricanes are pretty common to that area. But it is not possible for a storm to do as much damage as clearing away the whole settlement when the fence and other buildings remained untouched. The fourth theory is that the people of Roanoke decided to leave Roanoke Island to live with the natives. The Croatoans, which were carved on the post, was the name of the island in the area just south of the Roanoke colony. It was also the name of the group of natives that inhabited it. It is possible that the colonists decided to live with the natives and just assimilated into their culture. The fifth theory, which seems, at least to me, the most likely, is that the colonists were killed by the Native Americans. Upon first arriving to the colony, they were fighting with natives pretty closely. Again, the name of Powhatan and the Algonquin pop up. The Roanoke Indians also were there, and they were having skirmishes with the settlers. It is possible that these Indians had wiped them out. Some important facts support this theory. The English had tried before to start the colony of Roanoke. One other theory, which seems to be plausible, is that there was a San Agustin colony of Spain in what is now known as Florida. The Spanish sailors heard reports that the English had established a new colony in the New World. The new English colony was located north near the Chesapeake Bay. The Spanish sent their ships up the coast to destroy the English colonists. The Spanish ships attacked the English colonists and took them hostage, or they may have killed them. An even less popular theory, which is out there, is that they were abducted by aliens, which of course is not really a historical conversation. Thank you for listening to this short presentation on the Lost Colony of Roanoke Island. Thank you.